His radio is going to help you get out this summer and send you to Dollywood. Yeah, tickets for you and your family in a backyard movie kit. It's Rob and Liz, his morning crew on his radio. So easy to win that.
It really is. All you have to do is text the word outside. Remember that word. Share it with your friends and your family. Get everybody to register. It's outside to 800-447-7234. You can also just go to hisradio.com and the My His Radio app.
Yeah, tap on the app. Get out this summer. I mean, what do you want to do? And if it's Dollywood, well, you could win the tickets from his radio. How nice is that? Hello?
Yeah, Dollywood. I haven't been, obviously, in about a year and a half or so, maybe 2 years.
Liz goes every year to Dollywood. Listen to that.
I love Dollywood. I love to go with the family. I love to go to the water park and all that, but Dollywood's a fun place.
It's a drive to get there.
Yeah.
But once you're there, it's so nice. I mean, Pigeon Forge, beautiful town.
Right.
So close to Gatlinburg and what you can do in Gatlinburg. And winning tickets from his radio to go to Dollywood, not a bad thing.
Not a bad. I love going in the little shops, too, because it's all in Dolly style. So the more glitter and rhinestones and
I want to get one of those leather hats.
What's a leather hat?
Like they have cowboy hats and fedoras and stuff like that. Yeah. There's a whole shop. I thought you said you go to the shops. Well, evidently, she's choosy on her shops.
Well, if it glitters, that's where you'll find me.
Get out this summer. Text the word outside at 800-447-7234.
Rob and Liz, his morning crew.
Before you work out this morning, you may want to stop just a second and hear this. His morning crew with Rob and Liz, his radio.
I don't know if you've heard of the challenge just yet. If you work out, I don't know, somebody who works out, but this challenge, and it's dangerous, by the way, is the dry scooping challenge.
What in the
Sounds
world?
weird. I know. I'm like, what is that anyway? It's actually taking the pre-workout powder and not mixing it with anything. Just putting the scoop of the powder into your mouth and not mixing it with water, not mixing it with anything else, just dry scooping it so it's dry instead of with water.
So what makes it dangerous?
Well, it gets in your system way too quick, and one lady had a heart attack because of this.
Okay.
And so now they're like, hey, I know this is a challenge, and it's a challenge that's going to hurt you.
So, like some of the challenges, the watermelon mustard thing, that's just fun, having a thing. But why would you challenge each other to take the...
Well, if you listen to it, it's like, oh, well, that makes sense. It gets in your system quicker.
Okay.
Well, it gets in too quick, evidently. And I don't know all the stuff behind how it gets in the bloodstream and everything like that. But a lady had a heart attack after she did this dry scoop thing off the Redcon 1 Total War pre-workout powder.
Wow.
So it's specifically the pre-workout powder. I'm sure you don't want to do that with protein or anything else.
That's just nasty if you do the protein powder that way, too.
So it's easy to be gullible enough. You hear like, oh, wow, that's the news craze. I'm going to give it a try. Yeah. But no, you got to shake it with something and not just dry scoop it into your mouth and just put the powder in your mouth and swallow it.
And, especially have a chat with your kids maybe because, I know that my youngest son especially likes the powders that go along before or after
so he works out.
Yeah. But it sounds in theory like it would be healthy, like it would be okay.
Yeah.
But, wow.
Got to mix it with a liquid. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna make sure I do that from now on with him.
Yeah. With him or you?
Well, with him, I
had no idea that Liz took the pre-workout powder. Don't dry scoop. Whatever you do, no dry scoop.
Rob and Liz, his morning crew.
About 12 years ago, Peter and Lisa got married. They fell in love. They got married. Things were rocking along. And unfortunately, not that long ago, Peter was diagnosed. He's in his mid-50s with early onset Alzheimer's.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And, of course, started, forgetting some things. And that included forgetting that he was married to Lisa. And, of course, she had to watch all of this happen before her eyes. So she continues, obviously, to take care of him. They live together. And she said they were watching a television show where somebody got married. I don't know, a couple weeks ago or a year or so ago, whatever. And he looked over at her while they were watching this marriage on television. And he said, let's do that. And she said, what? And he said, let's get married. He didn't realize that they were married. He had fallen in love with her all over again.
Oh, my.
And he proposed right there while they were watching this TV show. And so she said, he doesn't know that I'm his wife. He just knows that I'm his favorite person in the world.
Isn't that great?
Yeah. And
beautiful.
They got remarried.
That tells you he wanted her every step of the way.
Every
He had a chance to do it all over again.
Right.
And he did it all over again.
Right. And she said, I could be sad about what we've kind of lost, but she said, I'm the luckiest girl in the world.
Wow.
I get to do it twice.
Amazing.
That they fell in love all over again.
What a beautiful love story, and what a tragic thing that he's walking through Alzheimer's right now.
Right.
And it could have been horrific, but here they are. He fell in love with her twice.
And proposed twice, and they got married
twice. Wow.
It's such a beautiful love story.
Are you okay?
I'm really trying. I'm almost pinching myself to try to not cry.
She's trying not to cry. I have a roll of toilet paper by my side here.
So I'm going to take a couple of squares, and then we'll be on the side of the road handing out more squares if you need it right now.
Her mascara is running.
Rob and Liz, his morning crew.
Well, now they can say this seat's taken. It's Rob and Liz, his morning crew on his radio.
Oh, Jenny.
Jenny said you can sit here.
Yeah, exactly.
You can sit here. Little reference to Forrest Gump, Rob and Liz, his radio. So the last seat on the Blue Origin, which is Jeff Bezos, Amazon dude, made his own rocket so he can go into space himself. And now the last seat's taken. Literally, somebody outbid everybody else, and it cost him $28 million to spend 11 minutes in space. Last seat taken on Blue Origin.
I try to put myself in those situations. Like, if I had that kind of dime, would I spend $28 million to spend 11 minutes in space?
Yes, for me, I would do it.
Would you?
Oh, yeah, because I would love to go to space. Every little boy that I can think of has that thought of, I want to go to space one day. Maybe not everybody. If you're afraid of heights, maybe it's a thing. But,
Yeah, when I was a little girl, I wanted to be an astronaut. But I don't know if I could take the G-forces. I don't even like roller coasters. But
talk about an adventurous trip.
Oh, for real? Yeah, there were 7,600 people that tried to bid on this trip. And the one person.
Yeah, I got outbid. I only had $15. Didn't work well for me.
You got outbid quickly, didn't you?
Makes me think about the adventurous trips that you take in life. I don't know if you know of one, you've been on one, or it just all of a sudden turned into an adventure. And I know it's not going to space unless you are the person that just paid $28 million.
And if you are, call us.
Yeah.
We want to know.
We'd like some pictures and talk to you when you're up in space.
Yeah.
We'll Zoom with you, okay? Hey, what about your adventurous trip? Here's the number. Call or text. Love to hear from you this morning. 800-447-7234.
Rob and Liz, his morning crew.
You probably heard the stories going into space. Somebody just paid $28 million to have a seat on it.
Yeah. And, it's cool to be his brother, too. He's taking his brother along.
Yeah.
For free, I guess.
Yeah.
But he charged somebody else $28 million, but that's okay.
Yeah. When it was a bid.
Well, you got to cover the cost.
They outbid my $15 by...
Just by a little bit.
Yeah, just by millions and millions and millions. Heather is here at 800-447-7234. Heather, adventurous vacation. What was it for you?
So a few weeks ago, we went to Aruba, and the night before our very last day, we were kind of stressing about the COVID and everything like that, getting out of the country. So we prayed that the rest of the day would go smoothly, that we'd be protected, that, everything would be a really good trip. So we were supposed to go to what is called the natural pools and the caves in Aruba. And on Pinterest, it talks about it being a really easy, fun hike. Well, that's a Pinterest fail because when we got there, it was not at all going to be an easy hike. The park ranger just kind of gave us a really funny look, like, I don't know why you're doing this. This is really scary. And they even called the park ranger on the other end of the natural pool to take us back if we were to hike out. There was a couple as well that was checking in, and they had a 4-person Jeep. And the lady, politely asked them if they wouldn't mind taking us there. And they said yes, and it turned out to be the most funnest adventure because we hung out with these people that we've never met all day, and we saw the entire park with them and their Jeep. And we went to all the caves and all the ocean sites and the natural pool and snorkels. And then we even later had dinner with them and just laughed until sunset, and it was just like the coolest God moment of protection and just favor. But it was probably the best day of our trip was that moment.
Rob and Liz, his morning crew.
Get out this summer. You're going to Dollywood. It's Robin Liz, his morning crew on His Radio. Nice little trip to win tickets for your family to go to Dollywood from His Radio and a backyard movie kit to boot when you just text the word outside to 800-447-7234.
And I love that because you can get out at your own home and then you can take that kind of road trip, that road adventure, and get to Dollywood. Did you know they have something called Doggywood at Dollywood?
Yeah, when you go, that's where you put your dog.
I did not know that. I did not. And that they call it Doggywood, that just makes my heart smile.
Of course.
I love that.
It's that down-home feel of Dollywood, huh?
Yeah, which is so great for the entire family.
And I wonder, if you win the tickets to Dollywood and the backyard movie kit, what's the first movie you would even watch?
The Martian.
What is that?
I love it. It's Matt Damon. It's about space, and he gets stuck on Mars.
Oh.
I love that movie. I watch it every time it's on TV.
I'd put some kids thing up there and invite the whole neighborhood over.
Yeah. Well, that is true, but I mean, you could
Show off that, hey, look it. This is the cool house to be.
Okay, so my takeaway is Rob likes all the songs from Frozen.
No.
That's what it is.
No.
Let it go, Rob.
So
Just let it go.
I'm going to let that whole thought of you just had go. 800-447-7234. Text the word outside to that number. Go to hisradio.com or tap on the My His Radio app.
Rob and Liz.
His morning crew.
Here's that moment that is on bended knee and they ask the question. It's Rob and Liz, his morning crew on His Radio. And all of a sudden, here comes opening up. And then the question is asked, will you marry me? And it's a watch.
Huh?
To put on your wrist.
That's a thing.
It is a thing. Engagement watches. I had no idea. Now, here's where it's originating from. Now that it's 2021, there are some young ladies that are going, I'm going to pop the question if he ain't. And so she gets down on bended knee and says to her boyfriend, will you marry me? And there's an engagement watch, not the engagement ring.
Right. But it's also for women that don't necessarily like a bunch of jewelry. They don't want to wear rings, but they really like a watch. There was one lady, she's like, I work, my job, I use my hands a lot. And so my ring's always getting caught on something. The watch is perfect. And her boyfriend dropped to his knee, proposed with an engagement watch.
Engagement watches, not rings, watches. Yeah. Can you imagine? I mean, the next question you usually ask is, let me see the ring. Oh, no, it's this.
Yeah.
It's this. It's a nice swatch. $15.
A swatch.
A swatch. I'm telling you. And here's the thing: the variety of types of watches. There's not this just one engagement watch thing. It's either a $15 watch or a $15,000 watch.
Yeah,
it's like, whoa, wait, where's the middle?
Right, a Swatch or a Rolex. I mean, or somewhere in between.
It's crazy. It's crazy. All the different types of watches that you can get.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's cool, and I think it's whatever the couple decides between themselves works for them. If they both work, my husband works where he can't wear his wedding ring all the time because it will kind of pull sometimes or get beat up.
When I work out, I don't. Although I could get one of those rubberized ones.
Oh, yes.
And put on.
My son-in-law has one.
$20 or $30 or something like that.
Well, sometimes they can be a little more expensive than that.
They can.
But you can get them.
If you wind up wearing it all the time.
Yeah, I think my son-in-law has I don't know if it's gold, but an actual wedding band. I hate saying actual, but then when he works, he landscapes, and so he wears that rubberized one.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it saves him. So whatever works. You're the couple. Don't worry about what anybody else
I have
says.
my wedding Apple Watch on.
Rob and Liz.
His morning crew.
I love the lengths that dads will do for their sons and their kids when it comes to something that they really, really want. So here's this one dad who said, I can't buy a Bugatti, but I'll make a Bugatti for my son.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and all he needed was a chainsaw and chisels.
Huh?
Yeah, that's all you need because he made it out of wood. Wood. Big enough for a small child to fit into.
Oh, so his kid is younger. It's not a teenager or anything. I got you.
Let me tell you, this guy's a master craftsman because he has this YouTube channel. He documented the whole build of this wooden Bugatti and so detailed. I mean, he took a chainsaw, he took routers, the steering wheel, even pistons, brake lights. He spray painted the thing. It looks amazing. It looks like the real deal, only made out of wood.
It is amazing because one of those Bugattis can sell for millions of dollars.
Yeah, and same with wooden Bugattis nowadays.
I get, yeah, for real,
Right?
about the same cost.
The guy is just so good. I mean, and the lengths that he did to do this for his little boy.
I wonder if the kid was like, I really want one of those, Hot Wheels, Power Wheels, or whatever they call them. And Dad's like, I can do you better than that. Because that's typically, what Dad's going to do.
He did it in 40 hours, too.
He did it in 40 hours.
40 hours to make this car.
So I think the Bugatti company needs to bring him on.
Right?
Because if he can make and design a vehicle like this, where do you get the specs for it?
Well,
Goodness gracious.
He just knows what he's doing.
I guess he does. That's very cool.
That's
Dad.
the lengths that dad did for his kid.
And that's why we have Father's Day coming
right?
up this weekend.
For this guy.
Yeah, dads that go that extra step just to make their kids happy. My husband used to work all night long, all day long, and then go to a baseball game to watch the boys to show his support.
That's good.
He was exhausted, but he went.
I took a nap during the game.
I would have.
I don't get the Father's Day of the Year award. What about you? Something you saw a dad do for their kids. 800-447-7234.
Rob and Liz.
His Morning Crew.
It's so great to see what dads do for their kids. It's Rob and Liz, his morning crew on his radio, because there's some dads that go out of their way to do amazing things for their kids.
Yeah, above and beyond what, is normally thought of. I mean, my husband built like this tree house in the backyard years ago when the boys were little, and it was very cool.
That's great.
It didn't have a roof or anything like that, but they would get up and play pirate ship.
Of
and
course.
Have a little I think it had a steering wheel, something
Even
like
if
that up
it's
there.
just a piece of wood and a tree. That's the coolest.
I know.
That's a tree house for a kid.
Yeah.
800-447-7234. Hi, Paula. So tell us about this dad that did something. I think it's your husband for your son, right?
My husband kept talking about building this Noah's Ark bed, and he had this vision, and he kept trying to tell it to me. Well, I couldn't see any of it. And one day he goes out into the shop, and he just starts putting together wood, and the next thing you know, you have this huge half of a boat that looks like Noah's Ark, and instead of it having a ramp, that was the actual bed with padding around it so that he could make his own little small toddler bed with all these animals and lights and things around the top, and it was so awesome. That child loved that bed.
What did he do when he saw the bed? I'm so curious.
We hid it until Christmas.
How do you hide a bed like that?
A Noah's Ark.
I know. A friend of his helped him sneak it in on Christmas Eve. We let him sleep in our room for Christmas Eve, and when he got up and he walked, of course, he did Christmas, and then when he goes to his room, all he has is this face of amusement and shock, and he jumps in the middle of it and just sits there. It was so much to take in because it had its own little light switch and the lights and bookshelf, and it was the craziest thing I've ever seen.
I'm just curious what you did when the animals started coming to your house.
Well, I helped buy the animals.
Rob and Liz.
His Morning Crew.
So I know a lot of kids have just graduated from high school. My youngest son included in that. There was one high school that did something a little different. I've never heard of this before, but I guess earlier in the year, because I feel like this took a lot of planning, someone, probably the principal, vice principal, said, why don't we give each and every student a very personalized gift from one of the teachers on their graduation day? So here it comes, graduation day. All the graduates are, seated in the auditorium or outside, wherever they were. And the principal says, you each have an envelope. I want you to open that envelope. And so every single one of them did. And it was a personal note from one of their teachers.
Oh, nice touch.
Right? And the person that posted this that I saw said there wasn't really a dry eye in the place, whether it was the parents, the teachers, the students. They didn't even care about, at that point, moving their tassel over to say, hey, we've graduated. It was more, wow, like how personalized this teacher's, what they thought of me. I don't know. That's just very
Sounds
cool.
like they were moving notes.
Yeah.
Because I would think my teachers would say, get good grades, quit flunking out.
They would never.
That was a horrible student.
Never. Well, even there are some students that are better than others, and some that are mischievous, but they still made it a point, from what I understand, to bring out the good and say, this is how you impacted my life. They made it. I guess their job, sort of, to find that one thing that would speak to each student's heart.
That's really good.
I think so,
Because I
too.
think that's going to motivate some students to keep striving and moving forward, thinking, wow, this teacher thinks this about me?
Right. It could be a pivotal moment to where the student says, you know what? Because I can see sitting there a student that maybe